Can you believe it? I'm rolling up week 12. Well, maybe I shouldn't yet because we still have 2 items left, right? So I've graded this morning. I'll close out attendance, which, by the way, I had a couple questions about this. I always try, may not always be successful, in closing out that week attendance at noon on Friday. And that means I've opened this one up, and which I'm recording now, so that should work. Hey, by the way, thanks for your comments. I realized in hindsight last week I could have done a better video for you, but I was multitasking and I'm just glad I got something done. But I had a great time. Miami, Florida was just fun. It was pretty quick turnaround, I had a lot to do, but I enjoyed it. One thing I want to tell you is that when we were in Miami that day, those days, I actually was standing right outside that shot that I had done for you and was looking out over the water talking to a friend, and a manatee, of all things. I thought it was a seal, right? But it was a manatee, flipped right in front of us and went in, like out of the water and in, not completely out because they're so big they can't. But it was so cool. It was like seeing something new, seeing something different was always fun. Always fun to do things, So, whenever you can, go do something different. So the other thing we did is once the conference was over, before we headed back to Fresno, we took a bus all the way down to Key West. Man, if you don't understand the Florida Keys, I didn't really understand, but it's like we crossed over 42 bridges. There's all these little islands to get out to Key West. I just kept thinking about hurricanes, because actually there were parts of this that are still recovering from the last hurricane that came through. Luckily, Key West was spared, but some of these other smaller towns, and they were talking about that there's so many people that live on Key West. Not as many people live going to Key West because Key West is the tour, the spot. It's not big, but there's 13 miles across. I think there's just a lot of, and it feels like it's like you go back in time. They've preserved some of the, 40s and 50s feel of that place, but it's really a big tourist scene. There's 30,000 people that live there, so there's thousands of tourists that come in per day. But it's totally fun. The thing I would say, though, and I'm going to show you a photo, I'll show you this in a minute, is that, man, those beaches have nothing on us, right? So here's a picture of the beach that I took. Their beaches are man-made, and they have nothing on our beaches. The sand's not as soft. Hey, it was beautiful. I'm not knocking it, just FYI. So the other thing that happened while I was there, and this was the picture I had up a minute ago, was I actually got selected. I've already been doing this as an ambassador for North America. So my friend Stacy Devono and I, who, by the way, she's one of the senior developers at Nike. She and I now mentor all the women tech makers in North America, which is awesome. So I'll be doing that for the next year. I was already doing it, but I got selected for another year. So it was a great time. That's my whole point. I definitely recommend going if you get an opportunity. So as I said in my message last week, I was going to have to figure out this whole Windows 10 thing. And so I was searching around today because I figured out that the OnHub, the thing you got all signed up for, didn't have Windows 10. So I was bummed to find that out. And I'm actually trying to find out from our people why you can't get that. Because look at this. If you look here, student upgrades to Windows 10 on the OnHub system that they have is actually at no cost. Why we don't have it, I'm not sure. So I'm tracking that down, and I'm sorry it's taken so long. If you would do me a favor in this reply and tell me if you're one of those students that needs Windows, so I know how many people are in need here. Typically are those students that need to run Windows on their Mac. Because as we move closer, right? So we're now into our week 13 content. We'll be doing access. And this week I had you actually look at the end of the semester. Most of you got this right, but do make sure you review the dates for the end of the semester. But notice how we're going to have our last access simulation, right? So these are simulations, but this is the actual program that you will need. So looking ahead, just know that that's true. So the other thing is, right, we're moving into next week. So check it out. I suspect you all know, but actually caught me a little off guard. Hadn't looked at the calendar in a little while to realize what's heading at us next week. Right. So after next week, we are on spring break, right on. Right. So, in order to help students who want to, my goal is actually to have the entire course released for you by the time I head out to spring break. And I'm almost there. Today, I recorded week 16 classwork, which is, I kind of previewed I might do this. So I did do it, where I actually recreated the payroll program that we did. In I think week 9, but I did it HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You can either take notes or actually code along, but you can look at that as you get closer to that. I don't think anybody's that far along yet. So the other thing I will do, though, is I will make the final available before we head out to spring break. So that's my update for today. I hope you all have a great time, and I will see you next week before we officially head out to spring break. And have a great week. Talk to you soon.